Man, do I have some wacky news for you today. This is going to absolutely floor you with shock. It involves our beloved Dhar Mann. I'm sure all of you know Dhar Mann. He has his own little extended universe, the DMCU, the Dhar Mann Cinematic Universe. Even if you've never subjected yourself to the torture of watching a Dhar Mann video, I'm confident you've at least heard of them or seen them, because he pioneered an entire genre of telling the most basic stories and teaching the most basic lessons you learned as an 8-year-old. It was my guilty pleasure to watch them because I was so confused by their existence and their popularity. These things have like 50 million views sometimes. And it's literally things like be nice, don't be mean, don't cheat, don't judge a book by its cover. Like, it feels like he's making these things as like this repository of human emotion to teach to aliens that are trying to study us. It's crazy, and what's crazier is how popular they were. And the titles, they legitimately were a massive smashing success that other channels have emulated. Things like Tall Girl Dumps Short Guy and Lives to Regret It, Man Cheats on Wife, Lives to Regret It, Employee Spits in Boss's Burrito, Lives to Regret It, or Kid Tries to Cheat on Math Test, What Happens Next is Shocking. Woman works 3 jobs to put food on the table for her kids, What Happens Next is Shocking. That kind of thing. Dhar Mann started that. And he's also the one who always says that they're not just telling stories, they're changing lives. But this week, a lot of allegations came out against Dhar Mann, and it seems like they're not just telling stories, they're changing the lives of their actors in a much worse way. According to a lot of beloved actors that I know and love, such as Steve, our boy Steve, I've made a lot of content around Dhar Mann, and Steve's been one of my favorites. He has corroborated a lot of these claims that they just don't get paid, like, at all. He says that the majority of the actors can't even afford rent when they're contracted by Dhar Mann Studios. So it's a pretty big deal.
Essentially, as an actor at Dhar Mann Studios, I am just a contract player. I have no employment there. I am just sort of called every now and then, as are all the other actors. And it just is not sustainable. One of the main issues is that not a single actor that works at Dhar Mann Studios can afford rent.
Hearing shit like that absolutely blows my mind, because every single actor in the Dhar Mann cinematic universe has like 1,000 roles. Like Steve, his name's not Steve, but he'll always be Steve to me, damn it. His real name is Colin. Colin accounts for probably like 40% of total screen time in Dhar Mann's videos, and he's not getting paid enough to afford rent? That's outrageous. And I went into the comments because I wanted to see what people were saying about all of this, and usually when you go into the comments you expect to see some absolutely wild shit, like, Dhar Mann's a bad guy, he showed me his butthole in one of my dreams once. Or you'll find jokes like, one of the top comments was, the PS5s changed Dhar Mann, which made me giggle. It's talking about Dhar Mann's obsession with giving away PS5s in the videos. But then one comment made an extremely good point that's pretty alarming to think about. A lot of the actors in Dhar Mann's videos are children, and if he's this comfortable exploiting industry veterans like Colin has been in Better Call Saul, had minor roles in other huge productions, he has been in the industry for a long time outside of the Dhar Mann Studios universe. If Dhar Mann's exploiting people like Colin and other adult actors with horrible pay, is he even paying the children at all, I have to wonder. Like, I can only imagine how messy that could potentially be. Like, does he just like, write clout into their contracts? Like, hey, Junior, I'm making my 48th video on not judging a book by its cover. I need you to play the principal role. I'll give you 1,000 exposure dollars. My YouTube channel has 17.8 million subs. This is going to be great for your Instagram and your TikTok, so just sign here. No, you're not getting pay. I mean, I can give you like some sticks of gum, but that's about it. It's very concerning because if all of these allegations are true, and every single actor I've seen in the Dhar Mann cinematic universe has come out corroborating each other, and they are out there protesting right now outside of Dhar Mann Studios, if all of those are true, it's very worrying to think about if he's also doing the same to the children actors in his content. Because those kids are not industry veterans, and their parents likely aren't familiar with the industry either. They might not know what fair pay is, or if there even is pay for the work. Like, there's just so much messiness to all of that that could potentially be going on if all of the allegations are true. One of his big lessons is what happens in the dark always comes to the light. And goddamn is Dhar Mann learning that one right now. I saw that comment across every TikTok ever referring to this situation. Like, Dhar Mann is getting dunked on with his own lessons. He even made a video kind of about this same thing, such as mean boss mistreating employees and lives to regret it. Dhar Mann is in that stage right now because all of his employees, well, I guess they're not technically employees, they're contractors. All of them are coming out to talk about how miserable it was when it comes to the pay, and Dhar Mann's complete refusal to even talk to them. He just dodges them at every possible opportunity, and apparently has even cultivated this culture where if you speak out against him, you get fired. So I'd like to go over all of these allegations with you and show you some of their TikToks and the protests that they're currently doing against Dhar Mann Studios. There's a ton of footage of their protest, and I recognize every single person in it. I also love the shirts some of them are wearing that says, "What happens next is shocking." That's just beautiful. So even though Dhar Mann appears to want to teach lessons of positivity to everyone else, it's rules for thee and not for me. According to pretty much every actor, they're all saying the same thing about his refusal to communicate, as well as his refusal to actually pay them like an actual good wage for their work. Which is odd because he makes so much money off of the content. It's tens of millions. Because when Dhar Mann makes a video, not only does it blow up on YouTube, getting at least 10 million views pretty much, but it's kind of like Ouroboros constantly eating its own ass here, because he'll take that same video that he made for YouTube and repackage it on every other platform, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere, to farm even more views for this crazy cycle of just getting maximum absorbency of views from everywhere. That's a ton of money. But even aside from the money he's generating on the content itself, he was already an extremely successful and extremely wealthy businessman. He had a very successful cosmetics line, and I think even before Dhar Mann Studios blew up for him, he was worth right around $50 million. This is a guy that could easily afford to pay his actors well, and I would have expected him to do that, because I always got the impression that he was just like a genuinely good guy who just wanted to tell basic positive messages. But according to all the actors, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, which is extremely sad, and I feel terrible for all the actors in this situation, because it really did play out like a Dhar Mann video. Aspiring up-and-coming actors thought they had landed a great gig with a great guy. What happens next will shock you.
We are protesting why we are out there right now. We've been talking to a lot of actors. It's the same, everybody feels the same across the board. The trouble is, there's a culture at the studio of if you talk, you're out.
It seems the moral mastermind Dhar Mann is ruling his company with an iron fist of fear, where if people speak out against him, I guess they're fired, at least according to the actors. I'm only showing you Colin's statement here, but there are so many others. You can find all of it by just looking up the Dhar Mann protests. All of the main actors that you're used to seeing in Dhar Mann's videos have come out against him. And they're not being greedy, by the way. Like, all of them are just saying, we just want, like, moderately decent pay for the work. Like, all of them are proud of the work they've done with Dhar Mann. Colin concludes the video by talking about how much all of it has meant to him. But if they can't afford rent, there's a huge problem. They're not looking to be paid fucking 6 figures per production or anything. They're just looking for fair pay for the work that they've done and are continuing to do for you. And the least you can do is at least hear them out, go to a meeting. But Colin and all of the other actors talk about how Dhar Mann continuously avoids talking to them. He refuses to actually sit down and have a conversation. I'll let Colin explain that situation.
So we decided to come together as a group and talk collectively with our boss, Dhar Mann. We sent a letter to him, a hard copy and an email. The email was CC'd to the head of production as well, so that we made sure that Dhar got it, but it was addressed to Dhar. It was delivered to Dhar. We were contacted, said we could have a meeting to discuss our issues. That meeting was pushed several times, changed on us. When we finally got to the meeting, we had reiterated that we wanted it to be with Dhar. Dhar was not there. Following a couple days, reiterating again, we would like to speak specifically with Dhar. This is what the meeting is about. This is our boss. This is who we want to talk to. End of the week comes and goes. We learned Saturday there will not be a meeting.
Apparently, Dhar Mann couldn't even be bothered to attend the meeting after pushing it several times and eventually just shutting that shit down entirely and putting the kibosh on it. He has so little respect for his talent that he refuses to even acknowledge them or hear them out or face them in person. He just hides behind emails and horrible pay, I suppose. At least according to all of the actors. This is pretty much all of them. I have yet to see any like defense of Dhar Mann, so we only have one side of the story. I'm very interested to hear his side of it because this is an overwhelming amount coming out against him. And I really feel like what they're looking for is super reasonable. Talk to us. Like that's the only reason the protest is happening right now. Like the pay is obviously a huge problem, but the biggest issue is that he won't even talk to them to at least hear them out about the pay. So they don't even have that first step of getting the pay fixed, which is communication with the fucking guy who's decided their pay. So they just want to talk to him, but he won't let them. Which is why they're standing outside of the Dhar Mann studios, ringing cowbells, blowing whistles, and letting everyone know how awful it's been. Like, it is just wild to me that Dhar Mann, the absolute moral authority, the mega mind of morals, is this much of an asshole, apparently. So yeah, anyway, that's about it. Just wanted to talk about all of this and let everyone know what's going on with it. Pretty interesting situation. Hoping for the best for the actors that aren't getting paid well here. Hopefully that gets resolved. That's about it. So yeah.